Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and I'm back here to talk to you about nice guys. And we're stealing content from Reddit as always. Nice guys are those guys who call themselves nice and complain about how they finish last. They often get stuck in the friend zone, even after giving random gifts, and they really want to throw all those gifts back in the girl's face after they've been rejected. Maybe they're not actually nice. Anyway, long intros suck, so let's get into this with more nice guys from Reddit. This story comes to us from Reddit Nice Guy Stories, the best place to leave your stories about nice guys. Or in the viewer-submitted stories on my Discord. Either way. My trust in people has been severely strained after this incident. This is a very long story, so apologies for that. TLDR at the bottom. So this story is something that is partly my own fault, and while I have learned from my mistakes and know better now, I've become quite hesitant with stopping to help someone who looks to be struggling. Side note, please don't bombard me with comments saying how I was an idiot and too trusting and how what I did was completely stupid and such. I don't need that. I am well aware of this and have not made the same mistake since. Here's the cast list for this story. Me, Dino. Nice guy, Tim. Boyfriend, Jay. Friend, MC. Okay, on with the story. This happened almost 2 years ago during the summer. I was on break from work and decided to run some errands, including checking up on my oldest sister's guinea pigs and rabbits since she was on vacation at the time. After checking up on the fur babies, I stopped at a nearby gas station to get gas. While waiting at the pump, I spotted an old-looking truck stopping in the middle of the street and saw Tim hop out and start frantically checking under the hood of his car. The road he had stopped on was a one-way only and was one of the roads that was an exit just before entering post. The town I live in is next door to an army base. And with his car parked in the middle of the road like it was, other cars couldn't go past him, which was a massive traffic jam just waiting to happen. After carefully watching, I then realized that his truck wasn't starting up. This is where my good Samaritan/sympathetic side kicks into high gear. I knew exactly what this guy was going through because I used to have similar issues with my first car, which was a total piece of crap and would break down on me while driving all the time. I felt for this guy and wanted to help him because, well, that's what a good person does, right? After I finish pumping gas, I quickly rush over and ask if he needs any help. Tim gladly accepts it, and I even put his car into neutral so we can push it off the road and into the gas station parking lot. Another guy also came over and helped us out, which the guy also thanked him for. Once his truck was off the street and near one of the pumps, I asked him if he knows what's wrong with his truck. I think he said it was probably the transmission, which it likely was from the sound of it. I tell him that I wanted to stay and help, but I had to return to work. Tim assures me he'll be fine, but does mention that he's not from town and is only here visiting a friend for a few days, so he wasn't familiar with the area. But he said he had his phone so he could call his friend to come get him. With that, I shake his hand and wish him good luck before getting back into my car and proceed to pull out, but before I can, Tim quickly runs back over to me. I roll down my window, wondering if he's okay. Here's where I made my mistake. He asked me if he could have my number. He said he remembered that his friend was likely still at work and wouldn't be off for a while, and while he did have a phone, he didn't have good data and wasn't able to look up a tow place. That was probably a lie. And so he wanted to have my number so I could message him all the tow places in town. I, thinking that he was being genuine and simply needed some more help and still felt compelled to help this guy, happily agreed and gave him my number. Big mistake, I know. I left after that, and as soon as I made it back to work, I immediately got a message from a number I didn't recognize, which said that it was Tim. Keeping true to my promise, I sent him a link to a few different tow places in town that could call for his truck and left it at that. A few hours later, as I'm returning home, he messaged me again, saying that I was a big help and he was able to call a tow place and get it sent to a repair shop, and he was able to get a lift to his friend's house. I was glad for him and told him so, wishing him the best, and I thought that was it. It was not. I don't really think that giving him the number is necessarily screwing up. You can obviously still just block him at that point. The story about not having data is really suspect, though. I don't think this guy was posted here to try to hit on someone. I just think that he's an opportunist and he's jumping at something that isn't a very good opportunity. Shortly after that message, he sent me more messages, but nothing too pushy or forward. He asked simple questions like, what do you do for a living? How long have you lived here? What kind of things do you do for fun? Things of that nature. I'll admit I can be a bit of a gullible person and tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just genuinely curious and his questions weren't malicious or anything of the sort. I politely responded to his questions without giving away too much about myself. Then he started asking me if I liked playing video games, and if so, what kind do I like? I said yes and gave him a small list of the video games I like to play. Tim seemed pleased by this and started listing off all the different games he loved playing, and even suggested that we add each other online so we could play together. I don't really play PC games, and if I ever started doing so, I would probably start off by playing with close friends and acquaintances. I'm very shy and don't usually like to put myself out there if I don't have to. I told him this, and he seemed to accept my response. But it still did not end there. As I've mentioned in previous posts, I have a boyfriend who I've been dating for over 4 years, and we even live together and have a dog. We've even talked about possibly getting married someday, even though we would technically be considered married already due to this thing about common law marriage in my state. Look it up if you're interested. So later that same night, I was busy giving my boyfriend, who we'll call Jay, a haircut. During this, my phone started going off with an incoming call. I don't usually get calls unless they're spam or it's for something important, and since it was nearly 7 p.m. at the time, I ignored it. Upon checking my phone, I was shocked to see that it was Tim who had called me. I thought it was a bit weird but didn't let it bother me. Maybe it was a mistake, nothing more, right? Nope. Here's where it starts to get annoying. The call was a lot more invasive than texting, and she doesn't sound like a particularly social person. The next morning, Tim messaged me again, saying how he'd tried to call me so we could talk more and get to know each other better, but he figured I was busy, which was true. I immediately knew where this was going and told him that while I appreciated the kind words, I was in a relationship and was very happy with my boyfriend. He seemed disappointed but accepted my answer, but asked if we could still get to know each other and be friends, which I agreed. I thought it was kind of weird that someone who said they were only in town for a few days to see a friend would want to get to know someone who had already made it clear that they weren't single and still insisted on being friends, but then I thought, he's probably just being friendly and this is his way of thanking me for helping him, which I was glad to do. So I tried to not let it get to me. Things got weird and uncomfortable after this. I didn't know how to take screenshots with my phone at the time, so I unfortunately don't have the messages anymore, but basically Tim kept spamming me with messages like, "Good morning, D-Note. I hope your day is as beautiful and wonderful as you are. You doing anything later? Want to meet up and play some games or something? Want to go somewhere for dinner or coffee? My treat. How are you today? Got any plans this weekend? Want to hang out? I really want to get to know you better. You seem like a fun girl. Let's meet up. Let's get to know each other better. You're very beautiful. I like you and want to know you better. Let's meet somewhere for lunch. I'll pay. Where you live? I'll come over and we can hang out. Want to come over to mine or you want me to come see you? Where do you live, D-Note? Let's get to know each other." Yeah, I apologize. I just had to put a nice guy montage to that. If someone ever doesn't answer for like a few messages, you should probably just stop talking to them. That's what I'd do. And it went on and on and on with no stop to it. It just got worse and worse with each message, and I didn't know what to do. I had already told him that I was taken and not looking to hook up, but he didn't seem to care. Mind you, he had told me that he was only in town for about 3 to 4 days, but the messages spanned for a good week or so. My replies started getting shorter and shorter, hoping that my one-word responses would hint to the guy that I wasn't interested and he was making me uncomfortable, but he kept going. I was afraid of confronting him and telling him to stop because I didn't want to be rude to someone who was probably just trying to be nice. Ha! But at the same time, his messages were making me feel so weird and even unsafe. I was worried that he would actually find out where I lived and start stalking me. Yikes! What made it worse for me is that I hadn't told Jay about this incident with me helping Tim with his truck and me giving him my number. Not because I was scared he would think I was cheating, but because I didn't think that it was that big of a deal, and again, I only gave him my number because I genuinely thought I was helping the dude, which I did initially. But then it escalated into something else that I didn't ask for or want. So imagine what Jay would have thought if he saw these types of messages from some random guy and how they wouldn't came off as. Yeah, I was panicking at this point. The only one I managed to open up to about this was my friend who we'll call MC. She and her then boyfriend and the father of her son own a small local gaming shop in my hometown that's a gaming lounge with a couple small private rooms and several tables and chairs used for tabletop games. They also hold Yu-Gi-Oh! And Smash tournaments there, and they even sell various anime merch, including wall scrolls and plushies, so it's a pretty fun place to go to. One day, after finally having enough of Tim's obsessive messages and advances towards me, I went to their shop to talk to MC and ask for her opinion on what I should do. I didn't want to be mean or rude to him because I still felt he was being friendly and wasn't trying to make me feel like this. But after showing her and another friend of hers the messages, they both agreed that he was going too far and told me to block him. After considering it for a bit, I decided to go through with it, but not before sending him a lengthy message before promptly blocking him. Though it's paraphrased because I don't have the messages anymore, here's what I wrote to him. Tim, listen, I'm glad that I was able to help you with your truck, and I'm glad that you were able to get home safely, but what you have been doing has made me feel extremely uncomfortable. The only reason I agreed to give you my number in the first place was because I thought I was being helpful by giving you the contact info of some of the towing places for your truck. That's it. I didn't give it to you so that we could grow closer and becoming more than friends. And even after telling you that I have a boyfriend, who I live with might I add, you still insisted on sending me these unnecessary and uncalled for messages and disrespecting my privacy and boundaries. I realized that what I did was a mistake, and I'm sorry if I'm coming across as a bit mean and harsh. That doesn't change the fact that you have made me very uncomfortable. Please do not contact me again. And then I promptly blocked him after showing MC and the other friend the message, which they said was perfect. Also, I did end up telling Jay what had happened. I wanted him to be aware of this so he didn't think anything was going on. Thankfully, he was very understanding and said I did the right thing by blocking him, and even said that if he tried to contact me again to let him know and he would handle it. I love my boyfriend. A little over a year after that, I got a different phone number after signing onto my own phone plan. While going through all of my contacts in my phone and checking to make sure nothing got changed, I happened upon some of the blocked numbers and found what I believed to be Tim's number. It was over a year ago, so I didn't remember. Oddly enough, even though the numbers were blocked, there were still messages from the numbers saved into my SD card. I guess he had sent these after I blocked him and somehow they got saved to my phone? I don't know how phones work, lol. There were only 2 messages, but after reading them, I knew right away that they were from Tim. The date and timestamps on both are from when I had blocked his number before, so I know they're from him. I tried to post the screenshots of them on here, but it didn't seem to work. That or I'm an idiot, lol, but I do still have the messages, so everything below is exactly verbatim, word for word, and very uncomfortable. Definitely glad I blocked this guy. Just got out of hospital bed since Sunday and you have been on my mind. Would love to hang out with you. Been searching for an angel like you, XO. Then 10 days later at 8 a.m. he says, "Hey, do understand that I'm not trying to put you in any uncomfortable spot, but right now I feel like you are one of the few people I can talk to that will truly listen. Been going through quite a few things. Would you be willing to meet with me?" Yeah, like that's gonna happen, LMAO. I'm never going to give my number to a stranger ever again, even if they're in need. I've been extremely wary of stopping to help someone now, man or woman. And I know not everybody has bad intentions, but my trust has been permanently broken. I'll still gladly help those if I'm able. But now when I see someone struggling with their car on the side of the road and I see that there are others around to help, I don't bother to stop. I know it sounds really shitty, but that's just my way of staying safe. Edit, I forgot to mention that despite becoming a total creep, Tim was actually pretty good looking. While my boyfriend and I are pretty open and honest with each other when it comes to our relationship, I am very faithful to him and would never leave him for some random guy who doesn't know what boundaries are. Anyone else feel like the real mistake here was telling him that she likes video games? Don't want him to think she's not like other girls. Yeah, some guys see anything as a chance to hit on women, I guess. He didn't really seem to listen to her at all either, just kept escalating no matter what she said. It's especially hard to believe that he replied to that last message. Anyway, I have one more story that I've been wanting to read, and it's a classic something awful story. This is known as the printer story, and it's pretty legendary on there. The guy is kind of a nice guy. He doesn't get mad at the girl, but otherwise it fits. Let's begin. A loose female acquaintance of mine calls me at 1 a.m. today and asked me if I could print something on the computer for her and bring it over in the afternoon. Hey, yeah, sure, whatever you need, I'll help you. I'm all yours, I tell her. She sends me this file, and lo and behold, I can't open it. It's made in Microsoft Publisher, and I don't have that program, so I begin panicking, trying to find this program or a way to print the file. Scouring the internet yields no results, and I do my usual pacing in my room. I finally come up with an idea, and I tell the girl if I can proceed with it. The plan was I would carry my printer about 2 miles to her house, print out the needed pages, maybe talk to her a bit while I was there. I was hoping for at least a hug out of this ordeal. By the time I get there, I'm wet all over from sweating in the 90+ degree heat outside and carrying a heavy motherfucking HP DeskJet printer. The first thing I see upon entering her room, my first time in a girl's bedroom, are some panties on her bed. So I take her aside and try to explain I'm not crazy, just feeling like doing something wild, and she was cute enough to inspire it. Turns out she was flattered by the sentiment, she says, but was dating someone else. Just another thing I neglected to take into account when setting this up. Heh, not really that stinging, but still a letdown after all that. Okay, yeah, that's the printer story. I guess I forgot to mention that it's old as shit and probably not completely relatable to today's kids with their internets and all, but nice guy behavior is timeless. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like if you liked it, leave a comment if you have something to say. The algorithm loves it when people do that. If you're new here and want more, I'd suggest subscribing. It all helps me out. Thanks to my patrons as well. I'll be shouting them out very soon here, but I'm going to end this video today. Oh right, I was supposed to stream last week. That didn't happen because the internet was all fucked up. Maybe next time. Next video might be on Reddit relationships. I've got some good stories from there I'd like to use, but it'll be soon either way. Have a great day, everyone.